between he and War, and Glenn McGrath is having a few words to Brian Lara.
I quite enjoy it, you know. If someone says something to me, it sort of makes you think, right, well, you know, I'd like to hear more of that, just keep it coming.
If the batter down the other end knows you want to get him out, and he knows that I want to get him out, well then obviously there's a good challenge going on in the middle.
I've been to a few of the the stern English crowd, and you get a few of the members that don't really enjoy it, but I mean that's the way we play it.
The fielders like to build the fast bowler up and hopefully give him an extra yard of pace. Yeah, it works, it does.
At times on this tour I felt some of our boys perhaps haven't been quite as respectful.
The young Australians' appearance in England this summer has attracted attention not only for their brilliant stroke play and excellent fielding, but also for their verbal tactics on the field. Whilst umpiring at a recent game at Hampshire, Peter Willey complained of suffering from earache due to the incessant noise as their bowlers laid into the batsmen.
You know, I think there's definitely a place for a little bit of chat here and there, as long as it's, I think, in the main humorous and not particularly malicious. When any of our boys have perhaps stepped over the line, the umpires have said something to the effect of, you know, calm down. And we've sort of addressed it off the field as well. But, you know, I don't want us going out there and sort of saying nothing all day. I mean, if people are frustrated, sure, I expect them to, you know, let out a bit of, frustrated energy.
Most Englishmen will say it's part of our game, or most cricket teams around the world will say it's part of our game. I've grown up with it. You know, it's just like a good competitive, chat in the middle. Really, that's all it is. But I mean, if there's a bit of humour, a bit of subtlety about it, it can be quite humorous. And you can sit down at the end of the day, have a beer over it, and laugh.
He's taken that right off the stumps, forward of square leg. Tufnell can't believe it. Law can. A wry smile.
Of course, there are many batsmen who find this verbalism at the crease more of an incentive than a setback to their game.
Most batsmen I've found, usually use it as a real spur to just to dig in and really sort of say, well, okay, I'm going to show you. How dare you say something like that to me, and I'll get 100, and what will you say to me then? I mean, a guy like Alan Border absolutely thrived on it. I mean, you'd find with Alan that if he went out and he needed some sort of motivation for the day, I mean, this is outside of Test cricket. Like, for example, playing club cricket in Brisbane last year, a couple of times he really struggled for motivation on the day, so he went looking for it. The bowler would bowl something, and he'd really be, up in for the rent saying, oh, you couldn't bowl a hoop down a hill, and the bowler would bite back. There was quite a memorable little stoush between one of our fast bowlers and a batsman from Glamorgan who, one of our boys said a bit to him, and he was straight back, with just a stronger comment, and I don't think our bowler was particularly used to that sort of thing, and his bowling was very much affected, and I thought, well, that's great, because I mean he's not there to be abused, and he won the day. He got 100, and I was very impressed with him.
That was my first game here, and it was probably the flattest wicket I've seen since. It was the flattest wicket in England, apparently. So it was a hard knock to start with, but since then things have got better.
Mark Harrity, one of the true youngsters amongst the so-called young Australians, has learnt a lot about curbing his frustration on this tour.
The umpires over here jump on you quicker, so I've learnt that I've got to keep my mouth quiet. I've been told off a few times, but nothing I think that's been really bad. But it wouldn't even be anything said back at home, but over here, if that's the way they play, well, that's the way I've got to do it.
But whilst English etiquette on the field has forced him to be less fiery, in Australia he's been told by his coach, Dennis Lilly, to show more aggression.
Because I've had a lot of coaching with Dennis Lilly, and he talked to me a bit about saying I didn't have enough, not mean enough anyway. Didn't put it exactly like that, but he didn't say I'd go out and, sledge batters, but to just show a bit more fire in me, sort of thing. So I've sort of working on that, but now I've sort of got to hold it back a bit while I'm here, or I'll get myself in trouble.
On the other hand, one-time Essex overseas player and all-round good bloke Michael Kasparovich thinks that his lack of verbal aggression could be detrimental to his game.
It's never been part of my game, and I don't really think it'd benefit my game. I guess if you're a bit taller and you've got short hair and a big moustache out here, it sort of makes you look a bit meaner, and that can help a bit. But I know like I said, it's not really part of my game, so mind you, that doesn't stop you getting frustrated at times, and sometimes you have to let some frustration out.
I think there's only one guy in Australian cricket that I've seen who needs it badly to perform, and that's Merv Hughes, whereas a lot of our other bowlers, their game really does get affected. So generally, you know, if fellas get carried away with it, you know, from an Australian point of view, we try and nip it in the bud.
The West Indians rarely say a word to the batsmen. Maybe they are confident that their cricket is expression enough of their aggression and ability to beat the opposition.
They're so fast, you know. I think that's the thing. I mean, if they wanted to say something, they could, but they don't have to. They just walk back, bowl the next rocket at 140 mile an hour, and I mean, there's not a lot you can say about that, is there?
Malcolm Marshall had the eerie habit of smiling at the batsman after every ball, which many found far more daunting than a string of obscenities or the evil eye.
He just put it over the batsman by doing that. Didn't have to say a word, but just, you know, smiled or laughed or just ran past, didn't look at him. And that sort of that can affect you more, I think, than a lot of verbal.
I don't usually obviously don't get personal or anything. Just might make a comment about his shot selection or something, and hopefully he'll try something different. Yeah.
I think where Australians play, they play good hard cricket on the field, and you know it's good and hard competition, and it's fierce. It can get fierce, and then you come off the field and you know that stays on there, and you come off the field, you have a beer with someone, have a chat, have a laugh. You know, that's the end of it. That's where it stops. You know, as soon as you walk off that gate, that's where it ends. So.